My name is Claire. I was wearing my white dress when his phone rang. It was her. I remember that moment clearly. I remember it better than anything else, because I believed it was the most important day of my life. Or at least, I thought it was. The sun was shining. The sky was a perfect blue, without a single cloud. It was the kind of day people dream of for a wedding. I had looked at myself in the mirror earlier. My dress was beautiful, long, white, decorated with tiny pearls that caught the light. I felt like a princess. I felt happy. I felt ready. I had waited for this day for so long. I was 28 years old. I wanted to be a wife. I wanted a family. And I believed I had found the perfect man. His name was Mark. Mark was handsome, tall, with dark hair and green eyes. When he looked at me, he made me feel special, chosen. He was a businessman. He worked hard and traveled often, moving from city to city, from country to country. He used to tell me, "Claire, I do this for us. I'm building our future." I believed him. I loved him. The wedding was held in a beautiful garden. White roses were everywhere, my favorite flowers. Mark had chosen them for me. My friends were there. My mother was there too, crying happy tears. Mark stood beneath a large tree, waiting for me. He looked handsome in his black suit. When he smiled at me, my heart fluttered. I began walking toward him as the music played, a slow, gentle song. I held my bouquet tightly. My hands trembled a little. I was nervous, but it was the good kind of nervous, the kind that comes with hope. I looked at Mark again. He was smiling, but something was wrong. His smile was tight, strained. He looked worried. The garden was quiet. Birds sang in the trees, and a soft wind moved through the leaves. The woman began the ceremony. She spoke about love and promises, about a life shared together. She asked us to swear our vows. Then the silence shattered. Ring, ring, ring. The sound was loud, sharp, impossible to ignore. Everyone looked around. Phones were not supposed to ring at weddings. It was rude. It was wrong. The sound came from Mark. From his pocket. His body froze. His face flushed red, then drained of color. He didn't move. "Mark," I whispered, trying to smile, trying to stay calm. "Turn it off." He looked at me, his eyes wide with fear. "I'm sorry," he said quietly. He pulled the phone out, his hands shaking. He meant to silence it, but then he saw the screen. His face turned white, pale like paper. He didn't turn it off. He just stared. "Mark," I asked softly. "What's wrong?" He looked at the guests. He looked at my mother. Then he looked at me. And then he did something I still cannot understand. He answered the phone. "Hello," he said. His voice was small, weak. I stood there in my white dress, holding my flowers, not understanding what was happening. This was our wedding. This was the moment of our vows. He listened. Then I heard her. A woman's voice, angry, desperate, loud enough for everyone to hear. "Where are you?" She screamed. Mark, the baby is sick. You said you were going to the store. Where are you? Mark closed his eyes and lowered the phone slightly, but it didn't matter. Her voice carried across the garden. Mark, answer me. Are you with her? The birds stopped singing. The garden fell silent. Everyone heard everything. My mother stood up. My friends stared at each other in shock. My heart stopped. Who is that? I asked. My voice sounded strange, distant, cold. Mark looked at me. His eyes were full of sadness. Claire, I can explain. Who is she? I asked again. She's my friend, he said. But the woman was still shouting. Friend, she cried. I'm his wife. Mark, tell her about your son. The world spun around me. I looked at the phone. I looked at Mark. My legs felt weak. Wife, I whispered. Son. Mark dropped the phone. It fell into the grass. He reached for my hand. And everything I believed in shattered. Claire, please. It's complicated. I love you. I pulled my hand away. I looked at his face and saw a stranger. This was not my Mark. This man was a liar. You're married? I asked. He looked down. Yes. You have a son? Yes. The pain in my chest was sharp and sudden, stealing my breath. I felt sick. I looked down at my white dress. It felt heavy now, like a costume. I wasn't a princess. I was a fool. Why? I asked. Tears filled my eyes. Why did you do this to me? I wanted to leave her, Mark said. I love you. I wanted to start a new life with you. I was going to tell her today. Today. I let out a bitter laugh. You were going to tell your wife on our wedding day. He said nothing. I turned and saw my mother running toward me. She wrapped her arms around me, crying. Oh, Claire, she said. My poor girl. I looked around at the guests. Some were shocked. Some were angry. Others looked at me with pity. Shame washed over me. I wanted to disappear. So I ran. I turned and ran down the aisle. My long dress dragged through the grass, but I didn't care. I ran past the white flowers, past the chairs, out of the garden. Claire, wait! Mark shouted. I didn't stop. I didn't look back. I reached the parking lot. My car was there. The keys were in my pocket. I always kept them with me. A habit. A lucky habit. I climbed inside. My dress filled the seat, making it hard to move. I tore off my veil and threw it onto the floor. Then I started the engine. I drove. I don't know how long I drove or where I was going. I just needed to be far away. From him, from the lies, from the humiliation. I cried until my chest hurt. My tears blurred the road. Finally, I had to stop. I pulled over beside a quiet field. Cows stood there, watching me in silence. I sat alone in my car, still wearing my wedding dress, on the day my life fell apart. I screamed. I slammed my hands against the steering wheel. Why me? I shouted into the empty car. I had loved him. I had trusted him. My mind replayed the last 2 years. our dates, our laughter, the gifts. He bought me jewelry. He bought me perfume. He took me to expensive restaurants and made me feel chosen. Then the small memories surfaced. The times he didn't answer his phone. The weekends he disappeared. It's business, he had said. The faint smell of baby powder on his clothes. I had noticed. I had felt something was wrong. But I never asked. I didn't want the answers. Love had blinded me. I saw only what I wanted to see. I wanted a husband. I wanted a fairy tale. So I ignored the truth. Now the truth sat beside me, ugly, sharp, and painful. I stayed there for over an hour as the sun slowly set. The sky turned orange and pink, beautiful and calm, while I felt completely empty. Then my phone rang. It was my mother. "Claire, where are you?" she asked, her voice breaking. "I'm okay, Mom," I said. "I'm safe. Please come home," she begged. "I can't," I said softly. "I can't go back there. Everyone will stare at me. Everyone will pity me. I need to be alone." "Where will you go?" she asked. "I don't know," I answered. "I'll find somewhere. I just need time." There was a pause. "Okay," she said gently. "I love you, Claire. You are strong. Remember that. I love you too, Mom." I hung up and stared at the road ahead. Then I started the car again. I drove until I saw a sign. Smallville, 50 miles. I had never heard of Smallville, but it sounded quiet. Safe. Like a place to disappear. Like a place to heal. I arrived at night. The town was tiny, just one main street. There was a single hotel, old but clean. I parked and stepped out of the car. Only then did I realize. I was still wearing my wedding dress. Under the streetlights, I looked completely insane. A woman in a big white dress, alone at night, her eyes red from crying, that was me. I opened my suitcase. It was packed for our honeymoon. Mark and I were supposed to go to the beach. Inside were swimsuits, shorts, and a t-shirt. I changed in the car. It wasn't easy, the dress was huge, but I managed. I folded it carefully and placed it in the trunk. I didn't want to see it again. Then I put on my shorts and t-shirt. Finally, I walked into the hotel. An old man stood behind the desk. He wore glasses and had kind eyes. "Hello," I said. "Do you have a room?" He looked at my messy hair and tired face, but he didn't ask questions. "Yes," he said. "Room 4. It's quiet. It has a view of the garden." "Thank you," I said, and paid him. In my room, I lay down on the bed. My body was exhausted. My mind was even more tired. I thought I would cry again, but there were no tears left. I closed my eyes and fell asleep. The next morning, for one brief second, I forgot everything. I stretched my arms. Then I remembered. The wedding. The phone call. The wife. The baby. The pain returned all at once, heavy and sharp, like a stone in my stomach. I wanted to stay in bed forever. but my stomach growled. I was hungry. I hadn't eaten since the morning before. You have to eat, Claire, I told myself. You're alive. You have to keep going. I washed my face and looked in the mirror. I looked pale and tired, but I was still me. Outside, Smallville was charming. Small shops lined the street. Trees shaded the sidewalks. People walked slowly and smiled at one another. I found a bakery. The smell of fresh bread and coffee filled the air. I went inside. A big woman with a friendly face stood behind the counter. She wore an apron with a flower on it. "Good morning," she said cheerfully. "You're new here. I haven't seen you before." "Yes," I said. "I'm just visiting." "Welcome. I'm Sarah. What can I get you?" "Coffee, please. And a croissant." I sat at a small table. The coffee was hot. The croissant was warm and buttery. It was a simple meal, but it made me feel a little better. Sarah came over to my table. "You look sad, honey," she said gently. "Is everything okay?" I looked up at her. She was a stranger, but she was kind. And sometimes, it's easier to talk to a stranger. "I had a bad day yesterday," I said. "A bad day?" she asked. "Did you lose your job?" "No," I said quietly. "I almost got married." Her eyes widened. "Yes," I continued. "I found out he already had a wife. And a baby." Sarah gasped and pressed her hand to her chest. "Oh my goodness," Sarah said. "That's terrible. That man is a snake. A bad, bad snake." I smiled a little. "Yes," I said. "He is a snake. You're better off without him," she said firmly. "You're young. You're pretty. You don't need a liar." "I feel stupid," I admitted. "How did I not know?" "Liars are very good at lying," Sarah said gently. "It's not your fault. Don't blame yourself." She brought me a cookie, a big chocolate chip one, and placed it on the table. "Here," she said. "Chocolate helps. It's free." "Thank you," I said, and ate it. Sarah stayed and talked with me. She told me about Smallville and about her bakery. Then she hesitated for a moment. "My assistant moved away," she said. "I need someone to help me in the mornings. Do you need a job?" I blinked in surprise. "A job? I don't know how to bake." "I can teach you," she said with a smile. "It's easy. You just need to be kind to customers and wake up early." I thought about it. I didn't want to go home yet. I didn't want to return to my old job in the city, where everyone knew about the wedding and would ask questions. Here, no one knew me. Here, I could just be Claire, not the woman who was left at the altar. "Okay," I said. "I'll try." So I stayed in Smallville. I moved out of the hotel and rented a small room in a house. It was cheap and quiet. The house belonged to an old woman named Mrs. Higgins. She was deaf in one ear, but she was sweet. She had a cat named Oliver. Oliver liked to sleep on my bed. Every morning, I woke up at 5 o'clock and walked to the bakery. The air was cool and fresh. The town was still asleep. I liked the silence. I helped Sarah. I made coffee. I placed fresh bread on the shelves. I talked to customers. The people of Smallville were kind. They learned my name. "Good morning, Claire," they said. "How are you today, Claire?" They didn't know my story. They only knew me as the girl at the bakery, and that felt good. The work was hard. My feet ached. My hands grew dry from washing dishes. But I liked it. When I worked, I didn't think about Mark. I focused on the smell of cinnamon. I focused on the sound of the coffee machine. In the afternoons, I walked. I wandered through the forest near town. I walked beside the river. Nature began to heal me. The trees were tall and strong, and little by little, I felt myself becoming strong too. The trees did not care about weddings or lies. The river kept flowing, never stopping for anyone. Watching it, I learned how to breathe again. 1 month passed. Then another. My mother called every week. "Are you okay?" she asked. "I am, Mom," I said, and this time, it was true. I was becoming okay. Then one day, my mother called with a different tone in her voice. My heart began to race. "Mark called," she said. "What did he say?" I asked quietly. "He wants to see you. He says he made a mistake. He left his wife. He wants you back." I closed my eyes. I remembered Mark's face. His smile. For a brief moment, I missed him. Not him exactly, but the dream I once believed in. "Tell him no," I said. "Are you sure?" my mother asked. He sounded very sad. "I'm sure," I replied. "He lied to me for 2 years. He had a family. I can't trust him. And without trust, there is no love." "I'm proud of you," my mother said. When the call ended, I sat on the porch. Mrs. Higgins' cat, Oliver, jumped into my lap. I stroked his soft fur as he purred. The sun was setting, painting the sky in warm colors. I was alone, but I wasn't lonely. I had friends here. I had Sarah. I had Mrs. Higgins. I had the familiar faces at the bakery. And most importantly, I had myself. I realized something important. I used to think I needed a man to be happy. I thought my life was incomplete without a husband. I believed the white dress was the most important thing. I was wrong. My life was already full. I could bake bread. I could make people smile with a warm cup of coffee. I could pay my own rent. I could sit alone and enjoy a sunset. I was strong. And then, one morning, 3 months later, a car pulled up in front of the bakery. It was a shiny black car, and it looked completely out of place in Smallville. A man stepped out. It was Mark. He looked different, older, tired. He was wearing a suit, but it was wrinkled, like he had slept in it. He walked into the bakery, and the bell above the door rang. I was wiping a table. I looked up. I froze. "Claire," he said. The bakery fell silent. Sarah looked at him. Then she looked at me. Slowly, she picked up a rolling pin, ready to defend me if she had to. I gave her a small shake of my head. "It's okay," I walked to the counter. I stood tall. My hands didn't shake. "Hello, Mark," I said. Calmly. "I found you," he said. "Your mother wouldn't tell me where you were, so I asked your friends." "Why are you here?" I asked. "I want you back," he said, stepping closer. "Claire, please. I made a huge mistake. I left her. I signed the divorce papers. I'm free now. We can get married. We can have the life we planned." He reached for my hand. I looked at it. It was the same hand that once held mine. The same hand that held his wife's. I didn't take it. "Go home, Mark," I said. "But I love you," he insisted. "Doesn't that matter?" "No," I said. "Love is honest. You weren't honest. You humiliated me. You broke my heart." "I can fix it," he said quickly. "I have money. I'll buy you a new ring, bigger than the last one. We can move into a big house." I looked around the bakery. The wooden tables. The smell of fresh bread. The warmth. It wasn't a big life, but it was a real one. "I don't want your money," I said. "And I don't want you." He stared at me, shocked. He wasn't used to hearing no. "You're working in a bakery," he said, looking at my apron dusted with flour. "You're educated. You're better than this. Come with me. I can give you everything." I smiled, a real smile. Calm. Strong. "I already have everything," I said. "I have peace. I have truth. I have self-respect. You can't give me those things." Mark stood there for a long moment. He looked at me and finally understood. I was no longer the woman who needed him. I was a woman who knew her worth. "Goodbye, Claire," he said quietly. "Goodbye, Mark." He turned and walked out. He got into his black car and drove away. I watched him disappear down the road. A heavy weight lifted from my chest. It was truly over. Sarah came around the counter and hugged me tightly. "I am so proud of you," she said. "So am I replied. That evening, I went to the river. I brought a small box with me. Inside was my engagement ring, the diamond Mark had given me. It was beautiful. It was expensive. I opened the box and looked at the fast-moving water. "I don't need this," I whispered. I threw the ring into the river. Splash! It disappeared. I felt light. I felt free. That night, I went home, made tea, and sat by the window writing in my journal. I wrote, "Life doesn't always go according to plan. Sometimes the worst day of your life becomes the beginning of something better." If that phone hadn't rung, I would have married a liar. I would have lived a fake life and never understood why I was unhappy. The pain was necessary. The pain woke me up. Now I know who I am. My name is Claire. I am independent. I am happy. And I don't need a white dress to feel like a princess. I tell this story because maybe you are hurting too. Maybe someone broke your heart. Maybe your plans fell apart. It's okay to cry. It's okay to run away for a while. It's okay to start over. You are stronger than you think. Sometimes when you lose something, You find something better. You find yourself. I'm still in Smallville today. I bought the bakery when Sarah retired. I bake the bread now. I smell coffee every morning. I've met a new man. His name is David. He's kind. He's honest. We're taking things slow. And that's perfect. When I think back to that day, the white dress, the ringing phone, I don't feel anger anymore. I feel gratitude. That phone call saved my life. So if things are hard right now, don't give up. The sun will shine again. The clouds will clear. You will smile again. Trust me. My name is Claire. And this was my story.